Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I'm sharing the new Waikiki paint markers from our sponsor, Ohuhu. They're available in a 36-pack of vibrant colors with a unique valve feature at the end of the marker so you can release more ink as needed. No need to wait for the marker to catch up with you, making it great for larger projects. To activate the markers, shake well and remove the protective cap at the back end of the marker. This cap prevents the markers from activating during shipping. Then press and hold the plunger at the end of the marker for about 10 seconds to release ink into the brush nib. You may need to pump this 5 or 6 times until the nib is saturated with ink. Be patient as it takes time for the ink to fill the nib. Once the marker is activated, you only need to depress the plunger when you want to feed more ink. You can get lines from 1 to 8 millimeters, and the brush nib is paper friendly and less likely to pill the paper compared to hard bullet or plastic nibs. This is great for coloring book enthusiasts and for sketchbook artists, as you'll see in today's demo. As with all Ohuhu acrylic markers, these work well on a variety of surfaces, from paper, glass, plastic, stone, ceramic, canvas, wood, or metal. Now let's get into the project. I started off by taping off the edges of my sketchbook with some thin washi tape. This will give me a really nice frame when we're done. Then I used a pale blue Ohuhu colored pencil to sketch in my design. It's a 1950s style car in front of a diner. I thought this was so fun and it would really work well with the poppy colors that are in this 36 pack of markers. I also loved the little details and the angles, such as the parking lines and the sign that's over the diner. I just thought it was really fun. I like to look at my swatches when I pick colors, so I'll know how they'll really look on paper. Now, we have a swatch on black and white, which is really handy because I can see how the markers are going to look on a light or dark paper. And this tone tan is kind of in the middle, so I can really well estimate what I'm going to get. I started off with white, and you can see how opaque this white marker is on the tan paper. Now, if you find that when you're coloring, your marker is not as opaque as you think it should be, cap it, give it a shake, and try again. Sometimes marker ink can be separated, especially if it's sat for a while and you didn't shake it up well when you began sketching. I'm going in around the white areas with some light blue. This isn't the lightest blue in this set, but it is a pretty pale blue, and I thought would be a good sky color. And I know that as I build up ink, I can go back in and blend. That first layer on the paper, though, it's going to kind of soak in a bit, and it's going to be tougher to blend. I also wanted to put some gray in there, so I'm doing that. Basically, I want to get a base down so I can start layering up colors. Now, once you get that first layer of acrylic down, your paint's going to stay wet a little bit longer and give you a little bit more blend time. Now, a damp brush is also very handy to blend your pigments together. In fact, I'll often have a little palette next to me where I can scribble out a marker and pick up ink if need be. That's another way to get a little more versatility from your acrylic markers. Sometimes I'll even have a brush and a marker in each hand so that I can go back and forth. Or I'll scribble a little ink onto my washi tape and use that as a palette. Whatever works, right? I'm just going for this nice softly blended sky here. And you can use any of the paintbrushes that you typically use with acrylic paints, and it's not going to hurt them at all with this marker ink. And I just keep layering it up until I'm happy with it. Once you get that first layer of acrylic ink down on your paper, you can keep working over it with no worry about pilling the paper. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen in that first layer, and I didn't have any issues with that at all with these markers. And the other thing I wanted to mention here is when I'm working on a painting that's kind of like a landscape or a scene, I like to work back to front, which means I'll paint the elements that are the furthest away from me, such as the sky, and then a layer on trees, then a layer on buildings. And I just kind of work towards the things that are closer to the viewer in the piece. And that serves two purposes. One, it makes it so that I'm always overlapping the previous layer a little bit so I get nice clean edges. And it also gives me a chance to practice with a medium before I get to the parts that are really going to stand out and show the most. So think about that the next time you are painting something. Work on the objects that are furthest away and then work closer. So by the time you're at those foreground objects, you've got a really good feel for the medium, you're all warmed up, and you are going to be putting your best work forward at that point. Now this part here is kind of like an awning of the diner, and it's this beautiful bright red, and plus I love to use red and teal together, and I know my car is going to be teal color, so I wanted to get that nice poppy red in there. And you can see I have a nice crisp line against the sky because when I did the sky I overlapped the building a little bit, so when I would go in and color in the building I would have a nice clean edge. So keep that in mind, just overlap a little bit. I did use really light lines, so if you're worried about losing your lines when you do this, you could sketch in a darker color or sketch in a pencil, because you will still be able to see those lines a little bit if you go darker. With this really pale teal, it pretty much covered it up when I went over it with the marker. So it's just kind of whatever your comfort level is. I figure if you draw it once, your mind knows you can draw it. So even if you cover up those lines, your kind of mind's eye still knows where those lines should be. Now I did get the what do you want to call the stem for this sign a little too thick. I wish I did it a little bit thinner, but I didn't want to try to go back in and match that sky with all the blending I had done, so I just decided to live with it. But yeah, if I had to do that over, I would have done one thin line down the middle. I think what happened was I had my line a little off center and I had to kind of balance it out, but it's fine. It's no big deal. You're not really going to notice it too much because it is in the background. Now I'm using the pointillism technique, where you just kind of dab, like do little dots with your marker to make these trees, because really that's what you see. They're too far away to make out individual leaves, but you do kind of make out blobs of color and sections of leaves. So I'm just using the variety of greens in there to get some different tones of green, and then I'm going in with the black and then quickly going over with that kind of teal color, that teal green, and blending it out a little bit. So basically what I'm doing is I'm picking up some of that black ink with the green and just kind of stippling it out until I run out of the black ink on the nib. And then if I do still have any of the other color ink on that nib, I would just scribble it on scrap paper until the nib went clean. And that's how you clean your marker if you use the marker to blend, which is a technique I use quite a bit. So I'd say don't be afraid of contaminating your marker. Maybe, I mean, like I probably wouldn't go into red with white, you know, I wouldn't go into something that drastic, but if you're picking up like black with a green or a blue just to make like a shadow, that really shouldn't be a problem. You should be able to scribble that out with no problem. Or you might even have like maybe a spare white marker that you can use for those types of techniques. Or you could you know, mix it on a palette like I said before and pick it up with a brush. Now over the red, I drew the word eat with a light gray marker because I knew I wanted, it's kind of like a faceted, the eat part was kind of like faceted plastic, so it would catch the light differently and you'd have like a gray side and a light side. So I decided to go in there with that gray so I'd have kind of a mid shadow done. And now I am outlining the whole sign with white because it does have a white checkerboard border, and I thought that would be easier to get that red in first and then try to draw around it, just in case the white wasn't super opaque to cover up that really bright red there. Because sometimes whites, especially on a brush marker, they're not going to be as opaque as say white from a bullet tip or a plastic nib marker, which allows a little more ink to come through more opaquely. So just to kind of get that information. I actually really love to mix my mediums. So if you have a different type of acrylic marker, use all your acrylic markers together. If that gives you a greater variety of colors and nibs and sizes and whatnot. The brushes are very useful because you can vary your size from a wide swath of color to a fine wisp of color, but it can be a little difficult to control the to get a fine line for a really long extended period of time. If you have a fine tip marker, then you know that might be a better option to bring in. Now, one thing I did want to mention, because you know, you can see how beautiful these colors are, how well they work, but I did want to mention the one con of these markers, and that would be the activation. So I've been doing a lot of typing, I've been doing a lot of painting and drawing these last couple of weeks, and I have had some soreness to my hands and wrists, so I've been doing a lot of stretches and stuff for it. And activating these markers was a bit of a bear, I have to say, and it took some time. It took longer to activate these markers than their other markers that you have to like press the nib to get going. So I wanted to mention that because if you have carpal tunnel syndrome or arthritis or any other issue where you have limited strength in your hands, this is going to be kind of difficult and maybe harmful. You might need help to have somebody else activate these for you. And the big advantage to these markers is working on larger projects like furniture and stuff like that. Like if you're painting furniture, that's what I did with another similar set that I had like this. I would say if you're only working in coloring books, only working in sketchbooks, I would recommend their direct valve brush tip markers that come in the case that all you have to do is shake and go. Those would be a better option. Now, I don't think you have as much ink in those because they are much smaller in barrel, but they're going to be ready to use when they arrive on your doorstep, which is really nice. If you are doing a lot of big backgrounds on a coloring book page or whatnot, these probably would be better for that just because you can feed extra ink. You don't have to wait for the marker to catch up with you. But like here where I'm doing so much ink there on the side. But you got to kind of weigh those pros and cons for yourself. There's definitely a marker out there for you. You just got to figure out what your needs are and what your main objectives are. I do like that there's a lot of ink in these markers. Now, I did mention that I'd done some furniture with a similar marker to this. There was another brand that I had used that I didn't like very much, and it was this kind of style with the velvet in the back. And the reason I didn't like it was when they arrived, one of the markers was leaking. The caps had fallen off. The protective caps had fallen off. These caps are on there snug. You have to pull them off when you get them. They're not going to fall off accidentally. So this one was better in that respect. And also activating the other ones were harder to activate than these. And two of them exploded on me when I activated them, and they just like burst, had like a blow out the back. And none of the Ohuhu markers had that issue. So quality wise, I think they're a really top quality marker for this style. I only know of two companies that are making markers like this. But it is something to keep in mind that the activation does take a lot longer compared to other acrylic paint markers. But all in all, they're fun to use. I like the storage they come in because you can see everything you have and they stay at an angle, and you can store them on their side or even upside down if you wanted to. I think storing them on their side is the best practice, to be honest. But yeah, they were a lot of fun to use. And I do like, they do dry pretty quickly, which surprised me for how much ink they put out, that they would dry so quickly. Especially right on the uncoated paper, they dried very quickly. And then after I had a coat of the paint down and I went to layer over, they did stay wet a little bit longer, but not terribly long, which could be a plus or a minus depending on how you like to work. I like to work quickly, so it is kind of nice that I could, quickly layer up. Like if I was working on one area and I had to let it dry, I could work on another part of the picture for 30 seconds and come back and it would be dry, which is really nice. So this was a really fun subject to paint. I found the reference photo on Unsplash, and I will link it down below in case you want to give it a try. Figuring out what I wanted to do with the windows was interesting because it had a little bit of reflection from the sky, but you could also kind of see through them to the diner in behind. I didn't want to paint every detail. I just wanted to kind of give the illusion of detail and really pay attention to the car itself, because I love these old 1950s cars. In fact, I can see myself as having a hobby of restoring antique cars. Now, I say this as someone who has no mechanical background whatsoever, but that's just one of those things that I've always have thought would be a really cool hobby, would be to restore classic cars. And these ones with the fins, man, why don't they do that anymore? Why don't they make beautiful cars like that anymore? It's like, come on, they had the technology for these beautiful machines. Why don't we do that anymore? I'm using a little fine liner here to get those tiny details that are really too small for those brush nibs to comfortably get in. Now, here's where I ran into a little bit of a problem. These fine liners did not want to dry on top of this acrylic marker ink. They eventually did, but I had to heat set them, and then I walked away for the evening and let them just have all night just to cure. So I would probably say you would be better off to use a really ultra fine tip alcohol marker for this, because those waterproof fine liners, waterproof products really should have something porous to soak into. Now these, I think these are going to be fine, but I did heat set them and I let them dry overnight because they wanted to smear really badly. So that's just that's a word to the wise. These are the liquid ink Ohuhu black fine liners I was using there. They're my favorite fine liners. But they are so juicy that they took forever to dry, and I probably would have just gone with an ultrafine alcohol marker if I had to do it again. But I didn't want to waste it. I was afraid to spray it. I'm like, if I spray this with something, I could pick up that whatever that chemical is on my nibs and mess those up. Or it could also make the ink run. So I just decided to, cross my fingers that letting it dry overnight was going to work, and it was fine. Now here's a technique where I said you can use a palette. I scribbled out some black ink and I watered it down on a palette just with plain water. And then I put a glaze over the windows because I wanted to tint them a little bit, but I didn't want to obscure everything that was through the window. And I think that effect was pretty good. That way I could put more shiny reflections on top and have them show up a little bit more realistically. Now with the glossy paint job on the car, you could spend all day going back and forth and adding details and washing stuff out and making things darker. You have to just at some point say, okay, it's fine, walk away and then come back and look at it, because when you are focusing on a project like this, it can just look wrong until you walk away and then you come back in a couple hours and you look at it and you realize it's fine. Like the reflections of the parking lot lines on the car, to me, painting that, I'm like, it doesn't look right. It looks so weird. And then the next day I came down to look at it and put some finishing touches on it. And I'm like, oh, that looks all right. So what I'm doing here is I actually took some alcohol markers and decided to shift and add some details. So shifting colors, blending colors, and adding details. Now, I love this technique, but I do want to warn you that alcohol does lift up acrylic paint. So when you do that, have a piece of scrap paper handy for you to scribble off those markers on in case you pick up any of that acrylic ink that you laid down previously, because your alcohol markers will can dissolve it a little bit and lift up some of that, and you don't want it to go in your nibs. I like to use my hard nibs, like the bullet nibs and chisel nibs, if I'm going to go over acrylic paint, just because I feel like those nibs are a little stronger and tougher, and if they do pick up a little ink, it's not going to clog them quite like they will a brush nib alcohol marker. So that's what I used. I used the Kala ones for that, but you could use any kind. Just make sure if you're using a brush nib, you really do scribble it off well on some scrap paper so it doesn't pick up the acrylic ink and clog it. And now I'm just using a colored pencil. These are also by Ohuhu to add some shiny, not super shiny, just those kind of like slight reflections, and I'm using a heat tool to make sure everything is dry before I handle this, and also peel off the tape. It helps the tape peel off. Now, one other thing I did, I showed it, but I didn't mention it when I did it. I used a gray and black colored pencil to just kind of give some shading onto the asphalt to give it that asphalt texture, so it would be a nice contrast to the shiny car. And there you have it. I think this turned out really beautiful, and I hope you give something like this a try with supplies that you have at home. And I really want to thank Ohuhu for sponsoring this video. You can find these markers on the Ohuhu website and Amazon, or search Ohuhu Waikiki markers on your favorite platform. Thanks for watching. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye!